Hello again, it's Doughnut time, and something that's been going through my mind this week is the question of what freedom means for us as Christians. This pandemic has meant that at various times over the past months we've had to give up some of our freedoms, things that we've come to totally accept as our rights. The right to go out and mix freely with others, the right even to meet with our family, the right to leave our homes however many times we want. Our freedom has been curtailed, but for our own good and the good of others. Getting together in crowds puts everyone at risk, and no more so than our amazing frontline workers. We live in a country for which we can give thanks, a democracy with freedom at its heart. And that's one of the reasons it's felt so strange over these past months. We certainly aren't used to being told that our rights are being taken away from us. And that most certainly applies in our culture today, where we're presented with so many rights, some of them opposing one another. There was the story of J.K. Rowling yesterday, who expressed an opinion, which is her right, but because it was an opinion that some people liked, she got berated even to the point of death threats. Maybe we're not as free as we thought. And yet, I was also online on a chat with people discussing the issues of statues being removed. And thankfully, this chat was so different. There were people with very different points of view, but they were able to treat each other with respect and still have different opinions without accusing each other of being racist or anything else. A refreshing conversation about a very complex issue where emotions are running high. Human freedom is something that sits in every single heart. We don't want to be restricted. The ideals of freedom have been fought for, so we have been able to do away with slavery, and we have labour rights, we have a say in who governs us. But in more recent times, have we reduced the idea of freedom to something that just means the absence of constraints? The Bible gives us a countercultural look at freedom. Jesus had a conversation about freedom with a Samaritan woman he'd met at a well. She'd had 5 husbands, and a man she was currently living with wasn't her husband. From what we know of her, she'd had a fair bit of freedom to live how she wanted. Then Jesus says something interesting to her. He doesn't condemn her or judge her for how she's used her freedom. But he says to her, when you drink the water from the well, sooner or later you're going to be thirsty again. But if you invite me into your life, if you come to me, I will give you the water that will mean you'll never be thirsty again. In fact, it's going to well up inside you like a wellspring to eternal life. That conversation with Jesus transformed her. Her entire conception of freedom is transformed. Why? Because Jesus links freedom inextricably with flourishing. Freedom only makes sense alongside flourishing, and human flourishing can only make sense when we first acknowledge our need to be in a loving relationship with God Himself through the person of Jesus Christ. I had a problem with my Apple ID a month or so ago. I'd lived with it for a very long time, but it got to the point of sheer frustration. So I finally contacted Apple, and it took a little while to get it sorted out, but they were amazing. Why? Because Apple created the software and they knew exactly what they were doing. They knew how to optimize the flourishing of my laptop and my iPhone because they created them. And so it is with you and me. If we want to know how to optimize our flourishing, we need to go first to our Creator. He knows how we flourish best. We begin to see that freedom isn't the absence of constraints, but it's about choice to make decisions, to submit ourselves to the right kinds of authorities, putting ourselves in the right kinds of relationships in order to optimize our flourishing. There's no better relationship to place ourselves in than with our Creator. He knows us better than we know ourselves. He loves us more than we can possibly imagine. He knows and wants our flourishing in ways that we can't even comprehend. This Jesus came and died for you. He went to the cross and he defeated death by rising again. And he now makes us an offer. John 10:10 says, I have come so you can have life, have it to the full. He's talking about flourishing. He's first given you the freedom to make the choice. So let's use our freedom to give ourselves back to our Creator and to walk humbly and joyfully in a flourishing life with him. Thanks for joining me. God bless. See you soon.